The natural sciences seek to define for us what reality is in physical, chemical, and mathematical terms, to establish what can or cannot happen. But when what cannot happen happens and the impossible theater runs away, it will not be of much value to tell the monster that it should not exist. Oh, I don't believe you. Oh, that's good. I suck your jugular now, says the vampire and the person. I don't believe in vampires. Good for us, isn't it? All my subjects are incredibly tediously related to various occult things. I find myself boring to my ideal because I only talk about hidden matters. I'm not just interested in the keeper alone.
And would I listen to that 24 hours from noon? Absolutely, I would. Fagundes, I would definitely listen to. That's about it. We are incredibly intriguing people indeed.
So there are these ongoing issues very much on a daily basis, correct? Sometimes the same events repeat themselves. The witch named Roberta has already arrived, and I've also heard this numerous times.
That's it. And additionally, Roberta, we observe how intimately connected we are to the witches burned by the Inquisition and the wizards and alchemists who faced persecution, outlaws hunted and condemned in numerous ways, all because they sought this knowledge that unites us today. This very knowledge is our shared passion and indeed not only brings us together, but also every individual who will possess the exclusive opportunity of viewing Uhum.
And how much? How much does the world owe, right? How much does the world owe these alchemists?
It's simply the science of today's modern era.
Sure. It's undeniably a lasting legacy rooted in the work of the ancient alchemists.
Certainly, various elements such as phosphorus were discovered by alchemists, and to them it is certain spiritual effects were attributed. But to what extent did working with metals and elements not serve only as a contemplative support base in a kind of meditation? Right. There are various interpretations of what alchemy is, but I specifically referred to it due to the fact that magic, as we are redefining it, approaches this kind of mental, emotional, spiritual transmutation that necessarily passes. It's a series of concepts, you know? I think so, that one of these basic concepts, so one of the pillars of this work, is that we are not one as ourselves. In fact, we are all one. It's a mantra that we can also see later. But every human being is made of several bodies. These forms operate somewhat autonomously. So the mental body is a unique entity. The emotional body represents another distinct entity, and yet another entity is the physical body. The higher spiritual dimensions encompass even more subtle and elevated forms, which we might refer to as the soul of an individual. For instance, there exists both the physical body and the astral body. Among them, there is still another body, which is neither the physical nor the astral, and which is a body of the intelligence of the physical body. Between the physical and the astral, there is another sphere of one's own intelligence, which only appears when we are on the verge of death, when the body is in collapse, in crisis. Then this intelligence of the body appears. Furthermore, this impulse drives you to rise and run despite any bleeding, enabling you to somehow pry open a jammed car door to rescue someone, regardless of the situation.
You certainly know how to discuss this topic, don't you? Fagundes, the renowned survival thinker, correct?
I would estimate that there were approximately 14 encounters with Arcanum 1314. Periods where I observed and considered, this is the reality of the situation. So this will conclude in more than just one moment. It is not strictly a fear or an absence of thought. It serves as a revelation of the genuine significance that we ought to assign to life, and yet often fail to acknowledge. Following an encounter with death, he abruptly experiences the most flavorful water he has ever tasted in his life. And even if the other day is a storm, you will say, "What a beautiful storm. How good life is. Look how beautiful that lightning there." Life takes on a new meaning when faced with the immediate threat of extinction. When you contemplate, thinking, this is the end, there's no escaping it now. This triggers a certain acceptance, or perhaps a form of surrender. But beyond that, a sense of bewilderment arises. That's why I lived, enduring so much to reach this point, to end up here in this manner.
Actually, I took the effort to count, Fagundes. Considering how frequently you've mentioned it, I started tallying just to see. Even then, I sensed it was more than enough. When you mentioned the exact number, I was taken aback. My count was 5 fires. Isn't that right? The incidents you mentioned participating in?
But the time I caught fire and I was a fire, plus the meningitis I had when I was 3 months old, plus the 4 times that cars of unknown people climbed on the sidewalk to run me over at dawn, for reasons still not explained, but of us who do not believe in coincidences, we attribute meaning. Additionally, there were 2 instances where knives were thrown at me. One more time, someone shot at a group I was part of. That's about it, I suppose. Oh, there's also the incident with the raging, drooling dog that cornered me against a wall. I knew then that if it bit me, it would have been all over.
So I guess it's that way.
14, 15 times I contemplated puts. Now it's finally over for good. Now that's it, you guys. You can believe it. Identify yourself by thinking that, well, this guy must truly and absolutely love life, don't you think?
It gives a different meaning to life, doesn't it? I've encountered various situations, perhaps not numerous, but significant nonetheless. 11 of these I've shared previously on this channel. This feeling arises, a profound sentiment, right? To think, I went through all that only to end up here. It seems impossible, but then you find a way back, redefine your existence, and eventually you reach out to someone. It's a myriad of things, isn't it? Despite everything, I'll stay true to myself, live my life as I desire, doing what brings me joy. If anyone takes issue with that, they are inconsequential to me. After all, given what I've faced, other people's opinions hold minimal weight. They're important to some extent, but ultimately negligible. So it's about living authentically, isn't it? Indeed, it is.
Intensely one day at a time and finding each day a miracle. Every day I wake up, I think, wow, I didn't die in my sleep, thank God. Then when I go to sleep at night, I say, yay, I survived another day, thank you, thank you.
And what is also cool about what Fagundes talks about is the issue of the EEA. If at some point we, by chance, forget the importance of life, it will charge you again and will put you in a new bonfire. Because it is your own charge to remember that, right?
Exactly, and so much so that it's a phase. The initial phase of alchemy is the negredo, which is also called the dark night of the soul, which is that moment when you come to reality and realize that everything you thought was not, and everything you trusted was made of wet paper that no longer serves, and all the answers are vague, lying, evasive, take you somewhere else, and that the world and the life you lead don't represent you. You don't identify with yourself. This generates a fundamental bitterness that matures and evolves into a kind of radical consciousness of survival and distancing from this reality. So the whole point I want to emphasize is that alchemy is the transformations of consciousness, and so is magic. Because the mother who places the small red wool lint on her child's forehead to stop the hiccups is performing a magical act. Ah, but it's neither a ritual nor a ceremony. It is a magical deed. Why so? Magic, at least in the realm of natural magic, as I propose, necessarily involves emotion. The symbolic mental conception of what you are doing and the physical creation of a kind of symbolic microcosm. So you, in order to do magic, you have to concentrate mentally, think strongly, immerse yourself in what you need to get emotional, and combine that awareness of intention with the emotion you are looking for. In that symbol, which in this instance is a tiny piece of red wool, magic is effective, magic exists, life is imbued with magic, we are mini deities, and all of this aligns with the grand conspiracy denied to us by the Catholic Church and Western positivist culture. Deny us repeatedly.
Nullify our power, huh? Them. They wanted to nullify everyone's personal power because they wanted to have dominion over people. So they nullify our personal power, huh? Thinking that we don't have it, that we won't be able to evolve our consciousness to the point of healing ourselves, to the point of interfering in someone's life. In short, our own life.
Yes, the truth is, they taught us everything wrong. They've said you can't read minds, but you're wrong. They say predicting the future is impossible, yet we do it constantly. They claimed we can't talk to animals, communicate with nature, speak to the dead, or have contact with ghost entities. There's no such thing as ghosts, they insisted. Oh, really? Tell that to the ghost.
Ótimo.
I truly believe he is in the Book of Demons. It has been a full hour since I mentioned that A. The natural sciences are seeking more in-depth understanding. Nos. Clarify the essence of reality. Concepts and parameters. Physicists, chemists, and mathematicians. To determine possibilities and impossibilities. However, when faced with the impossible, what then? It happens. And the impossible theatrical run-in won't be of much value.
Explain to the phenomenon why it shouldn't be?
Oh, I don't believe you. Oh, good.
I'm gonna suck your jugular now, says the vampire and the person I don't believe in vampires.
Good for us, huh?
It is.